This is the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We are back for Season 4, Episode 6. You look horrible.
Even Conquest deserves a...
He was a monster. He almost killed me. He almost killed Mark twice.
His devotion to Viltrum...
You weren't there. You didn't see what he did to Earth. People at home hate him almost as much as they hate you.
Welcome back, fellow Guardians, to the Invincible podcast for the Season 4 episode 6, You Look Horrible. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Ow, that cuts me right to the soul. The name of the episode is not You Look Horrible.
It's not aimed at you, Chris, I promise. It's not aimed at you. I was just going to introduce myself as one of those people at home that hates Conquest almost as much as people hate Nolan.
Yeah. It's probably a better way, to be fair.
Yes.
But, yes, no. We have so much to discuss.
We do. We absolutely do. Yeah. Let's not spoil what happens.
Let's not spoil
in the
our
episode.
discussions, the good stuff.
Absolutely. Great to have our wonderful fellow Guardians with us for the busiest week in TV podcast industry's history. I think 3 major shows came out this week. We have The Boys, we have Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and we have Invincible, which we are covering all episodes of. We've put out our first episode for The Boys Season 5, which is the final season of The Boys. Our episode for Daredevil is already out. Here we are with our Invincible episode, and we'll be back later on in the week with the second episode of The Boys as well. And this week, we also had the first 2 episodes of Mole Shadowlord released on Disney Plus to great acclaim. I knew that was going to happen. We watched all 8 episodes of that show, and it is excellent. And it seems like Star Wars fans and lots of animation fans are absolutely loving it as much as we did. So we aren't covering it on the podcast, but highly recommend going to check that out.
And am I right in saying that it got confirmed for Season 2?
It has been confirmed for a second season. Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Not often you get that in the Disney world. Like within the first week of the show.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the team that's behind it were behind Clone Wars and Bad Batch, both of which were multi-season animation shows for Star Wars. It was kind of expected that they'd get a confirmation pretty quickly if they were going to be making a second season. They have a lot of story there to tell with this character that lots of people really, really like, especially the Clone Wars iteration of the character. There's been massive amounts of story for Maul since he was in Phantom Menace, and I keep calling him Darth Maul, which isn't anymore.
So very, very quickly, and this is a complete aside, I was talking to someone about this today. What are the confirmed Star Wars projects right now? You have Mandalorian and Grogu, the film.
Yep.
Next month in May.
Yeah, about 6 weeks' time. Yeah.
Yeah, then Ahsoka Season 2 ?
Oh, that confirmed. No, Ahsoka Season 2.
No, well, when? We don't know yet.
They haven't provided an actual release date, but expected to be the final quarter of 2026. So this year.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then we have Starfighter,
the
Ryan Gosling one next year.
Again, not confirmed on dates. They haven't put any release dates out there for any future project from Star Wars.
Okay. But that's filmed or filming or nearly finished.
Yeah.
And then there's the Filoni film? ?
Again, that everything went quite silent on that. I think we talked about that on our wrap-up podcast at the beginning of the year. No further confirmation on that. As they start doing the press stuff for Mandalorian Grogu, I expect there's going to be lots more things confirmed, lots more information out there in the world. At the moment, they're definitely focusing on the Marvel side of Disney with lots of confirmations of shows. Lots of really interesting information out there on the Marvel side, but the Star Wars side of the business is holding out, I think, for the press tour, so they have something to talk about.
Okay. Because I was just like, that's actually when I was saw how great Maul was and got Season 2, I was like, wait, is that one of the only things we are 100% confirmed for the next few years? I was like, oh, it probably is.
Yeah. There's still stuff they've talked about, and we do have Celebration each year usually, which makes announcements of upcoming projects as well. So, but yeah, I think if you've watched Mole, the show, those who watched the first couple of episodes that are out in Disney Plus, but if when you see the full season, you'll see why it was very quickly given a renewal for a second season. It's a really exciting and really interesting show, a little corner of the universe that we don't get to see. So I think that's probably what's excited the people the people that make those decisions.
Nice. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about Maul.
We are not. Another animated show. We're here.
Another animated show. That does have another season coming. But it's this episode, 2 more episodes, and then another year break.
But at least it's a year with Invincible.
Exactly.
That's the cool part about this show. And, the animation, as we talked about, is getting better and better every single year. They've done such a great job this season making everything look incredible, especially for a show that comes back each year.
Yes.
I think we're pretty much set that it's going to be early next year again as well, because this show was confirmed for season 5 around the same time as season 4 got confirmed. So they've been working on it the whole time. So amazing that they're able to do the turnaround on this, or wonderful, let's say, that they're able to do the turnaround on the show that they're able to do for Invincible. But if you haven't subscribed to the podcast and you want to hear our thoughts on all of the other shows that we're covering as well as Invincible, pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com. You can subscribe there through any Invincible or Vulnerable podcast players. You can also send feedback on there. You can leave voicemails, or you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com with your thoughts on any of the shows that we're covering, or you can pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, or even our Discord. The access details of that are in the show notes right here for this very podcast. Or you can search TV Podcast Industries. I'm sure you'll find it over there as well.
Yes, you will. But Derek, let's dive into it and our discussions. But first, do you want to tell us who gave us what, where, when, and how with the episode details?
Absolutely. The show is based on the comic series written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley. The show is developed by Robert Kirkman, and the lead producers on the show are Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Robert Kirkman, David Alpert, Sam Riccioppa, Catherine Winder, and Margaret M. Dean. This episode was directed by Jason Zurek. He's directed 2 episodes of Invincible Season 3 and also directed the first episode of The Boys animated spin-off Diabolical, which we've been talking about a lot recently because of the final season of The Boys. The episode was written by Amber Dupre. This is her first episode of Invincible, but she was a staff writer on Loki Season 2 as well, which we covered on our main podcast feed and TV Podcast Industries. So kind of cool to see her coming over to Invincible, isn't it?
Yes, she covered that. We enjoyed her. And again, we've talked about this before. Once you're in the Marvel, or once you're kind of in that nerd writer space, we do see a lot of crossover between the shows that we would cover and the writers and the writers' rooms. So.
It's always cool to see, isn't it? Yeah. I guess just like our silly little jobs, once you've had experience in a good area and you can prove it, then you may get another job in something similar, right? That's the plan, huh?
Exactly.
But Chris, do you want to tell us what they gave us in Invincible Season 4, Episode 6? You look horrible.
Sure. Open war between the Coalition and the Viltrum Empire begins, with Battle Beast and previously enslaved planets joining the Coalition. After burying Conquest, Nolan bonds with Oliver and trains him as they nurse Mark back to health for 2 months. Alan and Zoe are rescued by Space Racer, who kills Kradd. Losing their numbers and helped by the Mole, by lowering the planet's security, Thragg orders a direct strike on Talescria to kill Thaedus. As they besiege the capital, Thaedus, Alan, and Zoe lead the fight, but are losing until they recovered Mark, Nolan, and Oliver arrive to beat their forces back. The Viltrumites are forced to retreat, but lose several of their own. After interrogating the Mole, Thragg is revealed to be retreating to the Viltrumite home planet. So Thaedus plans to strike Thragg on planet Viltrum before all the scattered Viltrumites could return home to bolster the planet's defenses. Pretty quick, direct episode.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of pieces to go through and points to talk about.
Yeah.
But it does actually move everything quite a bit forward.
Yes,
in terms of some of the things we learn and know about, and kind of burying some of the hatchets, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm shocked that one of my theories was slightly right last week, that they were definitely going to be gone more than 2 weeks travel time. So at least 2 months of recovery for Mark, and they're still going on for another further trip at the end of the episode. But yes, battling and recovery is basically the entirety of what happens in this episode. So let's kick off with our point number 1, Mark's recovery. Mark, after killing Conquest is left to recover, and effectively they're saying the only thing they can do, because they're so far into Viltrumite space, they can't leave the planet. All they can do is leave him here to recover from his wounds. They can recover from a lot, can't they?
Yeah. Yeah, literally his guts were falling out of him.
Yeah, ripped out, yeah.
So, I do like this, that you do see that, like, how you can start to understand how Conquest came back, for example. In the previous season or the beginning of this season, I should say, and from his ending in the previous season.
Yeah.
But it just takes time. There is one point where we do kind of start to see that, like, actually they need protein as they recover. Like, he's in almost like a self-induced coma, while his body kind of repairs himself.
Yeah.
So seeing that it does take 2+ months for them to fully go back from brink of death to being able to fight off of the Viltrumites.
Yeah. No, I'm very glad they had a little bit of input into the recovery of Mark. It's not just get him some liquid, pour it down his throat, and in 2 months' time he'll be grand, you know? They do have a point where they go, well, you know, he is in recovery. He is, all of his intestines are knitting back together, and all of his inner organs are all knitting back together, so he probably needs a little bit more than just liquid, so we probably need to get him some kind of protein. So, really like that. But I suppose the bigger arc that's happening on here is the confrontation or the fixing of a relationship between Oliver and Nolan. While Mark's out of the picture, Oliver's trying to maintain that posture of hating Nolan for everything he's done. Christopher Connery does such a great performance here with Oliver when he tells Nolan that he was upstairs when Nolan arrived home and told Debbie that Nolan wasn't in love with Oliver's mother. That he was only in love with Debbie, and that Oliver took this to mean that Mark was the only important one in Nolan's life. Once again, not letting Nolan off with everything he says, right? He just was using words to try to get back into Debbie's good books. Oliver heard the words, and it pissed him off even more.
We talked about this last episode. So they do have to fast track some of the conversations and the dialogues and things like that you'd have more time in the comic books to kind of see. Now, but it's a hard one. I haven't fully formed an opinion yet on this, but it's a tough balance to kind of bring what is Nolan, Omni-Man, you're basically one of your biggest villains of this show, back to a point in it where he is where the audience has empathy for him. And I feel he does have a redemptive arc and a redemption arc in the comic books, and they're trying to do this here too. I think I'm leaning towards it. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I'm leaning towards you, towards your viewpoint, which is it's just not working to a degree.
I would say, it was similar to my general opinion in real life. Everybody can rehabilitate, but they can't just say, I've been rehabilitated, which is what Nolan tried. Nolan tried to arrive back on a planet after murdering lots of people and went, hey, love, I'm sorry. Take me back. I'll be better. I've been thinking I'm better. I'm probably better. No, do the work. And I think what's really good in this episode, he tells Oliver that at the outset. Oliver says to him, I heard what you said. I wanted nothing more than to be you. I even put your symbol on my suit to be Kid Omni-Man because I loved you and respected you so much. And then to hear that, you broke me effectively. And Nolan tells him, well, I want to be better. I try to be better, and then does the work. Over the 2 months that they're there, he trains Oliver. He treats Oliver the way Oliver's wanted to be treated by everybody. Since the beginning and his arrival on Earth, Oliver is different from everybody else there, and they're trying to treat him and trying to turn him into a human. But Oliver has much more in common with Nolan than he did with anybody else on Earth, right? He's from a different planet. He doesn't have any of his species around at all, but at least Nolan is his father and has a direct connection with Oliver, and he's treating him in a different way than everybody else has. So by the end of it, interestingly, he's saying, well, actually, maybe I would be better out here in the galaxy than going home to Earth, because the only person that's there that I do love is Mark and my mom, Debbie, but everybody else I'm grown out of, you know? So I think that's quite interesting that they do have the arc. Yeah, there is a bit of time jumping, but I think you get the sense of what Nolan has been doing with Oliver here. So yes, absolutely. After last week's episode, I think everybody was treating Nolan the right way. That he's not making up for his past mistakes. He's just saying he is. At least in this episode, we see Nolan trying to work out a relationship with Oliver on their own terms. So while he may not be redeemed in the eyes of everybody else or me, at least he's doing something with Oliver to rehabilitate himself.
Yeah. And look, you're right. Oliver is different. Like, he found a lobster sexy.
That is
which
hilarious.
I love. That was brilliant.
It is the best moment when he talks about him getting a tingly feeling when he saw a lobster, but he still ate it, which is hilarious. Yeah. It's like a very young Deep from The Boys. He's starting out his life. As I think the official account said, I don't think Nolan was expecting to tell the birds and the lobsters tale this quickly to his son.
Yes, that age-old bird and lobster story. I do like how this ends, which is, like you said, like Oliver is starting to forgive, and the relationship is there, and eventually towards right at the end, as they kind of Mark is awakened and has recovered, and they prep to go into battle. Yeah. Oliver is right, probably, to stay on the coalition's kind of planet out there and work with the coalition, because you're right, he doesn't have that connection. Yeah,
he just makes that choice. But and again, the other thing that happens, of course, throughout this, it's not just Nolan teaching things to Oliver. Oliver gets through to Nolan about not killing things that are in his way just to get what he wants. He needs, as you said, protein to help cure Mark. He started out by just killing the mother, or wanted to kill the mother to take the eggs. And Oliver kind of going, but if you kill her, then she can't take care of the rest of the eggs, and she can't lay any more eggs. So how about we make a deal and we take one and we work together to not kill her, and get that benefit. And it works with Nolan, which does show signs that he is changing, because in the past that wouldn't matter to him, and he would try and shut anybody down as being weak if they told him you don't kill everything in your path, right? So not only is Nolan training Oliver, Oliver's also teaching stuff to Nolan as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more, this is a complete aside. I never in my wildest dreams thought we'd get this far into the comic book series.
Yes.
In an animated format. I honestly didn't think we'd get that far.
I bet you never thought they were going to be able to animate Mark's lovely beard.
Well, they didn't. They really, they like, at least it looked better in the comic books. I'm going to say that. Yeah. But overall, I'm happily surprised and shocked that we are now discussing the Viltrum War in an animated show. Yeah. So let's continue that and move into the second point of our episode, which is war was declared. We have the coalition and the Viltrum Empire across the galaxy fighting on many fronts. And you got a very Star Wars scene. It's like when it was like Leia and the rest of them at the Death Star when they're planning that battle with that kind of big map in the center. We get one of those where you start to see the red and the blue for the Empire and the Coalition, and where they're winning, where they're losing. And I thought that was really cool. You didn't need to kind of show that level of detail, but it works.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. A great representation of the fact that the Coalition are really winning this war. Over millennia, we have the Viltrum Empire have taken huge swathes of the galaxy, and the Coalition's planets are very small at the beginning of the war. But as we get on through the episode, there's a very small amount of territories left to the Viltrumites by the midway point of the war as the months go past, which I think is really interesting. They're starting to liberate planets, and those planets are taking up arms against the Viltrumites. They're deploying the weapons that were discovered by Nolan in the right way. They're picking out individual Viltrumites and taking them out. Well, at least that's what we're hearing through the reports. It's interesting, is it, because we have a lot of named Viltrumites that we've seen throughout the 3 seasons so far, and pretty much all of them survive by the end of the episode. But we do hear in the background that a lot of the other Viltrumites are being taken out individually. It would have been nice if maybe 1 or 2 of the ones that were named got taken out on screen. But I guess the reason why they're named is because they have a much bigger part to play later on down the road as the rest of the story is told. That's why they have parts and why they've appeared in the past. I think that's kind of what's happened.
I can neither confirm or deny your theory.
No, I know. But I believe there are other stories to come in the show that lead them, even in the final battle or in the next battle. They will have roles to play, but it just would have been nice to have maybe one character that we'd seen in the previous episode be taken out on screen.
Well, we do.
Yes, we get Kradd.
Yeah, because Space Racer seriously gets his laser, unstoppable laser shot off. Because we have Tech Jacket flying to the planet, not making it. Alan helps her out, and then she comes back, and you're like, no! And then you do get that fun shift bump out of the way, and then you have Space Racer. And you get the, hope you didn't lose your head. The very Seth Rogen kind of style stoner jokes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But again, I do enjoy these kind of pieces because it has been them setting up a lot of these kind of characters over the years, and we get to see them all come through. Like Battle Beast is back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again.
Yeah.
For one of his fun battles. And you just see as this continues, as this grows. Someone said this somewhere, I can't remember. I think it was one of our fellow Guardians on one of our channels, that they love that they bring in, like, they brought characters from season 1 all the way through. Minor characters. And it's like when you could just kind of call it Beast Battle A and Beast Battle B. No, it's the same character, and they brought him through, and what you think was a potential one-off.
Yeah.
Back in season 1, no, they're going all the way through. I enjoy that, and I'm happy to see other people are finding that fun as well.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? That's one of the things I've always loved about Invincible, and it seems to be the same even to now. We talked about it earlier on in the season, the character appearing for 10 minutes of an episode. You expect that character is going to come back and make a major impact down the line if they're not dead, right? So that's the way it works. I love Battle Beast in this episode, voiced by Michael Dorn, who played Worf in Star Trek. I know we talked about that when he was on the show originally, but I love that his conversation with Alan is, you promised me blood, you promised me battles. Where are my battles? And Alan goes, well, how would you fancy war? So Battle Beast is now unleashed on all the Viltrumites. It's very cool. The Infinity Ray of Space Racer is ridiculously powerful, though. I know they took out Kradd, and I just mentioned, that I would like to have seen more of the Viltrumites get taken down. That's how you get the indication that, they're starting to lose the war. But he fires it once and blows out the side of Kradd, and Kradd's dead. Kradd's not coming back. you would expect him to just turn around and go on Lucan and shoot him in the head and take him out, and then maybe another one of the Viltrumites in another location. But Lucan gets away. But you would deploy Space Racer as often as you possibly could, unless it's just a one-shot, a millennium that he is able to use with this Infinity Ray. Maybe it's called Infinity because you can only use it once and never again for all of Infinity. Can you use that gun? Because it's way too powerful.
I have something in my head, but I can't for the life of me remember if it's 100% correct or not. But it's something like, once it's fired, it keeps going.
Right. And goes on forever. Right.
Yeah. So I think
if you line up all your opponents in one row, you can kill them all in one shot. Okay.
So yeah, but also like it's just you fire it and it just keeps going. So if there's a planet in 100 million years in the line of where they fired and killed Kragg's head, that planet is suddenly getting a hole in it.
Okay.
I think it was something like that.
Well, that
because we see it go
very
forward
dangerous.
and cut through the ship, for example.
Yeah.
So I have that in my head, but
Right.
that now no one fact check me on that. That could be my own.
Please fact check.
headcanon.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. And
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Just
we
don't
might even
tell
look
me
it
I'm
up
wrong.
at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Some point, maybe.
I can't look it up because I don't want spoilers from the comic. So if you have read the comic and you know, or Chris, if you just remember, or if you want to search it up afterwards, you can tell us next time.
Yes,
But,
exactly.
But it's a great battle. I love the idea. I love the kind of back and forth. The idea that they go, well, maybe we don't want to fight battles on territories where there's only one Viltrumite officer there, I guess, which is what you'd probably call the person that's responsible for the area. Maybe we're going to take the fight to where Thaedus is, and they're going to go to the capital and have the battle there on where the coalition are, effectively. So, so they take the fight to there, and as many Viltrumites as they possibly can to arrive down there. Yeah,
and we do see. I think there's like the guts of 10 Viltrumites, including Thragg, and General Creek. So it was about 10.
Do you count the Skull of Argyll as part of the Viltrumites? What a weird moment that one was. So I guess some of the Viltrumites are a bit off kilter, as we've seen so far this season. But yeah, Thragg talking to the broken head of the former leader of the Viltrumites. Well, okay, people do talk like that to former dead leaders, don't they?
So you have we talked about it earlier. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Let's just literally call back to the sequels where we have Kylo Ren talking to his dead grandfather.
The melted helmet of his dead grandfather. Yeah.
Well,
true.
we don't know. Maybe there was a skull in there too.
There might have been.
Part of a skull.
But we know that mask was removed. Anyway, that's a Star Wars thing. But it's also the fact that Thragg takes that Skull of Argyll with him. That's the only thing he takes from the exploding ship when he's leaving as well. And as they're leaving the planet, you see it in his hands. And that cool shot as all the Viltrumites return home. Very cool.
So can we get into that? The attack on the planet.
On Talescria, yeah.
On Talescria. Like, that shot of Mark and Oliver, and it's almost like a split-second freeze frame where they cut through the ship, and the ship starts to explode at the top and break. Oh, mwah.
It was
chef's kiss. Just like that's one of, like, we talk about, in films you talk about money shots and things like that, and well, also porn. But
yes,
but this is that's a take a still, blow it up, put it on a wall in a nice frame, and that's a beautiful looking kind of animation cell.
Yeah.
Just, and we get a couple of those. Like, you get that shot, you get where they are running away, and then you also get the shot with, like, Oliver and Mark in space after they pushed the descending ship away out into space along with Omni-Man and everyone. It looked fantastic.
It really did. Yeah, I loved even the concept of that, where even though they've defeated the attack, let's put it that way, from the Viltrumites, the falling ship could end the planet. The ship is so big, it's split into two. it starts out there's not enough for them to fight it off. Everybody that's supposed to be in the battle needs to come together to get the ship out of the atmosphere so it doesn't destroy the planet, just as a consequence of getting rid of the Viltrumites. Yeah, so they could have destroyed the entire planet without actually being there. I love that as a movement within the war. Really cool. Really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we do get that battle on the planet is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Seeing Oliver go toe to toe again.
Mm-hmm.
Because they obviously, so that training montage time with Nolan on the planet has kind of upped his skill set.
Absolutely.
Kind of again. And then just seeing Nolan be Nolan and go hell for leather. He was one of their big, one of the best, one of the brightest. Mm-hmm. So we do see him and Mark kick ass. Like, absolutely. They are theoretically, to a degree, invincible.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's always meant something bad for Mark throughout the seasons, though, hasn't it? It's always been, you're invincible, therefore you can take a lot of punishment, so we will rip you apart. And the episode starts out with the 2 months punishment for being invincible in the last fight. So it is great to see a fight that they can win here. I think that was really good, or they do win the battle in this episode. And great to see Oliver using the new skills, as you say. It was cool. It's cool.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I can't believe you changed the title of this point, Chris, because you didn't know the reference. Chris called this War Was Declared. I was referencing Futurama with the line "War Were Declared" because it's a joke from Futurama where they all go and join the Space Force, and they're told, "Don't worry, just sit around, do nothing, drink beers, have fun, unless war were declared," and then instantly the alarm goes off saying war were declared. So that's the joke. So there you go. Now I have to explain my jokes, Chris, because you don't read what's written in front of you.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. With
hey,
that,
look, you know I'm wrong, Burgundy, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Put
that's why I thought you'd read it.
Of me, I read it. This time I thought it was a typo, and I thought it was actually being clever.
That's all right. Sorry, Chris. My fault for not preparing you in advance. Anything else on the war or the battle, that part of the battle in this episode, Chris?
No, nothing for me. What about yourself?
Just one thing we didn't mention was just the arrival of Alan and Tech Jacket, because they overhear the fact that the Viltrumites who were looking for them are going to move, but they just don't want to get away from their game. They're hoping that if they go to the planet, they'll be able to conceal themselves with the coalition, get away from the Viltrumites that are looking for them. But just 2 more minutes and they might complete the game.
Hey, we've all been there.
We
all feel that.
Yeah.
I have many a time go, I'm sorry, honey, I can't help right now. This game doesn't have a pause button.
It's such a lie. Kelly, if you're listening, and I know you are, there's a pause on every single video game. Never let someone tell you they have to finish something. They're just in the moment, but you can pause it.
Not everything. There's live service games that do not have a pause.
Yeah, but you don't play those, Chris. I know you don't.
Damn it.
Well, though, I will say when I fell down the stairs at the start of the year and fractured my ankle, John was playing a game on the PlayStation and said, just give me 2 more minutes. And I had to kind of shout a little louder to say it was a little more important. And I knew there was a pause.
Hold on.
So,
nearly there.
Yeah, I do love that. I actually, in this case of Alan and Tech Jacket, the game is procedurally generated by her suit, so it may never appear again in the same.
Exactly.
So they may have been right that if they just gave it 2 more minutes. But I think the joke is that they just couldn't tear themselves away from how cool the game is. Anyway, fun one. Liked it. Let's move on to our point number 3. Yeah. Going to call this Attack on Viltrum. Mostly because of Attack on Titan, of course. But the other reason is because that's the decision that they make at the end of the episode. We have the strike on Talescria, which has been pushed back. But they find out that the reason the strike happened and why it was so easy for the Viltrumites to get there is because the mole has lowered the defenses of the coalition's home planet, Talescria. And the mole is revealed.
Yes.
Now, Chris, we had a discussion on episode 2 of the season about did we remember who the mole was?
Yes.
Did we remember who the mole was, Chris?
Yes.
You did remember. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, I did. I like,
Excellent.
yeah, and they didn't change it. It was just like, They make it obvious. Like, and again, like we have seen previously who the mole was.
Mm-hmm. We have seen this character, and yeah, we saw them the last time Alan was at the Coalition home planet after he was recovering effectively from being torn apart by the Viltrumites, and where he got his powers and got his abilities. The reason I was confused on it, because my memory isn't as good as yours, the reason I was confused on it was because there was a whole discussion as to whether Thaddeus himself was mole or not, because of how he was treating Alan. Like, he turned off the switch on the respirator that was keeping Alan alive, and we were going, is he the mole? Is that what he's just done there? But it was supposed to be pushing Alan beyond the bounds, and he's definitely not a mole. He is the he is the person leading the coalition now. So that's where I was confused. So no, we now know the mole. He is revealed. I love that when they suspect the other security officer that works with them, and then they realize it's not him. When the actual mole is revealed, he gets instantly shot in the head by the guy that's been working with him day in, day out for years on end, right?
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be brothers or something.
Yeah.
Like it's something, twins, clones,
They're certainly from the same species, and they certainly have worked together for a very long time. So I love that there's a bullet through his head, but as with everything in Invincible, a bullet through the head doesn't necessarily mean you can't hold the conversation for another 10 minutes afterwards. It doesn't kill him. And I think someone else threatens to put another bullet through his head. So it seems to be quite painful, but doesn't kill him.
Yeah. Because that's the way it works, even in real life,
Yeah.
We have a medical doctor in our fellow defenders. So if he wants to confirm that a bullet through the head... No. Yes.
You don't have to answer that one, Dr. Bob, I promise.
No. I'm pretty sure bullet through the head does not allow you to continue.
Let's not play with guns, kids.
No. Yes. My God, we're trying to get into a PSA. I enjoy this. I like this aspect of, like, they didn't need to change it, so they didn't change it. Mm-hmm. Kind of kept it where it is. It does set up the final two episodes, our penultimate, and then the finale, where they are bringing the war. They're bringing the fight to the Viltrumites. They're going back to planet Viltrum. They're going to, or what is left of it, we will see the Great Rings, which is made up of the billions and billions and billions of dead Viltrumites. Kind of going around the planet. And we know that there's less than maybe 40 Viltrumites left. So it is kind of smaller numbers. So it's interesting to see that we're what we will get. And please remember, like, you still have the Scourge virus 2.0.
Yes, absolutely.
Sitting there. And Thaddeus is not, and has not been known. Let me say that. We've talked about how he turned off Alan's support. Mm-hmm. Just to but that was to make him stronger and better, etc., etc. But we know he will do the hard thing for what he believes is the right. So will he release the Scourge 2.0? Even when he knows himself, Nolan, Mark, and Oliver will suffer for it.
Yeah.
Will you kill yourself to save the greater good?
Yeah. Yeah, there may be another show that has a very similar premise at the moment as well. Mm-hmm. But yes, the one of the things I do like about this, the conversations that are had here as well, is that the reason why the mole is willing to turn on the coalition is because he absolutely believes the Viltrumites are going to win no matter what. And even after being caught, even after the Viltrumites were repelled, even after hearing there's only 51 of them left, when there was 51 of them left, even after all of that information, he's going, I still think they're going to win, he was always a mole and was always going to turn on the coalition. So I really, really like that. But yes, they're going to set out for Viltrum to try and take out the leaders of the Viltrumite, whoever's left on the planet, before the rest of them arrive back and before they can kick their forces into gear. One other thing that I just completely forgot to mention is probably a note, just in the battle. thought it was really interesting that Nolan was the one that called out that the troops that are working for the Viltrumites are slaves. Don't kill them, because hopefully they can join us in the fight if we can save them and if we can break them away from the Viltrumites. That's really unusual for Nolan, and almost felt like he was taking that lesson that he learned from Oliver and translating that to, you know, maybe we don't punish everybody here and kill everybody in front of me. Maybe there are ways to save some people. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I took it for. That's how I took it to be, that he has gotten through, and that Nolan is slowly growing. He's
finally learning, huh?
Yes, slowly. Oh, so slowly. Hey, he's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Or he's over 1,000 years old, I think. Sorry, that was the correct terminology.
Yes, absolutely. We have one post-credit scene to talk about, which is the greatest post-credit scene of the show so far. Absolutely loved this, because I was watching this with John, my husband, and other co-host for this episode, as the camera pans to the grave of Conquest, and both of us groaned, going, oh, no, please, God, don't let them do this in the show. The character's done. They've done 2 massive battles with him. Yeah, it was fun to have the character on there. Yeah, it was fun to have Stephen Yeun versus Jeffrey D. Morgan once again on screen. Done, over, and then it's just silence on screen at the cold, dead grave of Conquest. He hasn't moved one iota. The character's not coming back. Fantastic work. It must have taken a lot of convincing by the animation team, by the director and the writer of the episode, to go, right, we're going to have this scene where the camera pans over. It's going to cost money to make, but the whole point is a joke about the fact that we're not bringing Conquest back. And I love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
I thought it was fantastic, and I did the exact same. I knew in the comic books he didn't come back, so I was like, wait, no, don't do this just because it's Jeffrey D. Morgan. Yeah. Don't make this change. And then they didn't. So it worked for both. It worked for people who've on all sides of the aisle.
Excellent. Love it. Any notes, Chris? Anything else we haven't spoken about in the episode that you would like to discuss? Let's talk about.
I just want to call out Talia, Alan's girlfriend, General Talia. Mm-hmm. Just, it's good to see the character as she is, and they do animate her very well when they're showing that kind of war montage. Mm-hmm. In that you can see the destruction and the toll the war is taking on those who are not Viltrumites, those who are not Alan, those who are not war is hell. Mm-hmm. Is the old adage, and I think that's kind of played out very well in this.
Absolutely,
especially as she is we've already seen that she believed that she had sentenced Nolan and the rest of them to their demise, to their death by leaving them. So just wanted to call that out. It's a great character moment.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
I think, casting again, brilliant on the show, and having Tatiana Maslany playing the character of Talia is fantastic. God, she is just the goat for all of the shows that we cover, from She-Hulk to Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, fantastic over there, and has been great on Invincible as well. She's hilarious when she does comedy stuff. She's really good when she does drama as well. So great to have an actress that can do both sides of it in the show here with Alan as a partner. It's great. So yeah, really good.
Yeah. So who do you think would win, her or Karen Page in a fight?
Is she Talia or is she She-Hulk? Because if she's She-Hulk, She-Hulk wins. Yeah. Absolutely. Great stuff. I do have a tiny bit of feedback before we get into feedback, Chris, because we asked, you mentioned him there, the wonderful Dr. Bob. You asked a question of him on the podcast a couple of episodes ago about are there such a thing as verbally transmitted diseases? He actually got back to us and says, I've got to admit to this not being a well-recognized mode of transmission. The only one I can vaguely point at as a disease or illness state would be the joint psychosis of folie-à-deux, which is where one person or two people fall into the same incorrect belief, I guess. Probably made famous recently with the terrible second Joker movie.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's so famous. Joker, I forgot it.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Bob. I will stick with that. Verbally transmitted diseases is a product and is trademarked by TV podcast industries. So that is ours now. And if you have been have succumbed to a VTI, no, we're going to get off this track. But thank you, Dr. Bob, for getting back to us. So, Derek, before we get into feedback from our other fellow Invincible Guardians, do you want to let me know your final thoughts for this episode? Like, give me, where are you as we come into our penultimate episode?
I've really been loving the season of Invincible. I think it's been really, really strong. And to take the time to have Mark heal from his wounds for 2 months before they travel on to join the battle, I thought was really interesting. And the fact that it becomes this arc between Nolan and Oliver where they mend their differences and become stronger themselves as in their own relationship. I thought that was really, really smart. It wasn't just go in and let's punch things, which is what it seemed to be. It seemed to be get everybody together and then we'll go out and punch Viltrumites coming into last episode. But here, this took the time to work on character. This is a character focused show. So it always should do that. But we also got the battle. We also got mega battle all across the galaxy, various locations. The massive battle on Talescria is fantastic, but seeing the map of how the coalition was actually winning across the galaxy gives hope to this battle. It's always felt a little hopeless every time you see a Viltrumite come to Earth and beat the Earthlings down so badly that you go, how could they possibly win it? There's 51 of them. But at least there is some battles going on where the coalition have been winning. So I'm pushing them into a corner. Let's see what happens when the Viltrumites are coming out of that corner, I guess, in the next couple of episodes. Yeah, been really good. How about yourself, Chris? What did you think of this translation, or what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was that's perfect kind of setup. It was a great translation. I talked about how sometimes I felt that they were rushing some of the narrative aspects of Nolan's rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. This gave it that time to breathe by using the correct use of a montage. Mm-hmm. That from the years that we've seen it on across TV. And I liked how it ends. I like how it sets us up. It'd be interesting to see how much they put through for the next two episodes. So like the guts of it, 2 hours worth of content still yet to come. Mm-hmm. And setting up then the next season. So overall, I loved it. I'm happy where we were. The animation just gave us some radically beautiful shots.
Yes.
That you just kind of go, do you know what? That's like someone spent 6 months of their life animating those 10 seconds, or multiple people spent months of their life.
Thousands, yes.
Yeah. Animating those few seconds, but it really kind of comes down to it, and you can see the love and care put in. So overall, just spectacular. Chef's kiss. So Derek, with all that said and done, should we get into some of the feedback from our fellow Guardians?
Absolutely, yeah. First up, I missed a bit of feedback from Richard Blaze on last week's episode, on episode 5. So I'm going to read that first. He says, excellent to see the show back to its roots. Lots of swearing and evisceration, though I do have a minor gripe. Great to see the Star Trek characters being pretty well as useless as always. Like the montage of downtime whilst on the ship, and I'm also not 100% convinced on Nolan's true motives just yet. You'd think that with the Viltrumites being practically indestructible, they'd want to look after themselves a bit better. The two supporting Conquest were sporting the class dad bod. And speaking of Conquest, man, I love him as a character and really, really wish he'll make another appearance in some way. And Mark, sweet, sweet Mark, he'll be fine. Yes, he'll have to carry his intestines around in a wheelbarrow, but he's invincible. It is but a scratch. Great episode for me this week. Now my minor gripe, Nolan's feet. Can the animators not draw feet? As to me, they look well off. Have a look, see if you agree. Interesting thoughts there, Richard. You heard my thoughts earlier on Conquest, but I'm glad to know that lots of people like Conquest.
Yes, and well done on the Monty Python reference.
Absolutely.
It's good to. I'm not going to say what that reference was. If you know, you know.
You know, absolutely. You know. Yes.
Yeah. But Nolan's feet, yes, it's an interesting one. I did actually notice part of that in this episode. because there is a side angle shot where he has quite beast-like, like Marvel Comics X-Men beast-like feet. They're just very large.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't. I can't put... Because sometimes they look normal, sometimes they don't.
Well, I did a bit of an investigation on this.
Oh, okay. Go on.
So apparently the artist at the time, I think it was Ryan Ottley, at the time of this, or it might have been Cory Walker, the other illustrator in the comic books. Apparently a rumor went round that he couldn't draw feet. So for this whole arc of the comics, he made Nolan go around with no boots on. He had boots when he was on Earth, but from the point he leaves Earth for the rest of the comic run, or for most of the comic run after that, Nolan has his feet out so that he could prove that he drew feet. So that's the reason why he has it. So the reason why in the animated show he has his feet on show all the time is because of that. Maybe the animators can't draw feet, but I didn't notice it. But that's the reason specifically why Nolan has his feet out a lot. That was the best investigation I could come up with. I love it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely. Well done for your active journalism.
There you go. Always trying. On to some feedback for episode 6. Chris, do you want to give us some the email feedback there?
Yes. First and foremost, we have an email in from the one and only Coffee and Vodka, who had this to say: "Greetings, fellow embattled defenders. A good, solid, meaty, necessary, almost cinematic episode, which I could not find any standout moments for until the post-credit scene. Absolutely brilliant. An unexpected, weighty, meaningful, and only briefly plodding viewing experience, whose nuance I'll leave to others to find, as 1, I remain a bit shell-shocked, and 2, being only halfway through the watch list, DD, Invincible, and a double shot of The Boys, this is a day that will go down in content history. 4.5 cosmic gaming sessions, anime moments, and egg-sucking heroes out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka." Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Yes, anime moments is some of the bits I talked about, the beautiful animations in terms of those shots. Cosmic gaming, can't talk more about it. But you're right, we did miss the egg-sucking heroes. We know we discussed that Mark needed more protein, but that is a juicy colored egg.
It certainly is. Yes, it certainly is. I don't know whether I think I'd be happy to be in a coma and somebody feeding that to me rather than being awake and eating it myself. I'll say that. What a week though. Effectively what I was told in advance, and I looked everywhere online for this, was that Daredevil came out at 2 a.m. GMT, where we are in Europe. Then The Boys, the first 2 episodes came out at 5 a.m. and then Invincible came out at 8 a.m. So I put up all my spoiler posts, it was all grand. And then when I woke up, I thought I'd misread everything and that The Boys was on Thursday. So I thought I'd messed everything up. But yeah, all 4 episodes of the shows that we cover came out in one Wednesday, before work, effectively. So if I had been so inclined and had to get up in the middle of the night, I could have watched all episodes before starting work for the day.
Yeah. No.
But I didn't
Sleep
do
is
that.
Needed.
I used to do that, Chris. We used to take the day off.
We did.
When
Oh
stuff
my
like that
God.
happened. Yeah. Those days when we had extra holidays. Yes.
Exactly.
Fantastic, though. Glad you've been catching up, Coffee and Vodka. I can see your feedback in for all the other episodes as well, so we'll be able to chat about your thoughts on which ones are the best, I guess. Over on Discord, Dr. Bob says, for this episode, cracking spaceships, heads, the surface of planets, and this episode. Great to see the camping trip, impossible recovery, and a bit of serious father-son time. Love the shall we just finish this level moment. And frankly, if Eve wasn't already pregnant, then one look at Mark with beard, and I'm pretty sure nothing could stop it happening. Fantastic, Dr. Bob. I've made my thoughts clear on beards before, and I don't want to say it again because Chris has a beard, and I think most of our listeners have beards too. I don't want to say it again. So, yeah.
Yep. Your thought is, I look impressively like Nolan's fantastic beard. That's your thoughts. Stick to it.
Yeah. I do love the gag though, where Oliver compliments Mark's terrible beard, and Mark turns around and goes, "Oh, you grew a beard as well," and the camera focuses in really, really close on the tiny whiskers that are on Oliver's upper lip. That's a very good little joke.
Yeah, we all know one of those kids. But thanks, Dr. Bob. We also got some feedback from the one and only Joe Herbst, who had this to say. Really enjoying these episodes. They put the new Daredevil to shame.
Ooh.
Shrug emoji.
Shots fired.
I will disagree strongly. They are two very distinct shows.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, so much like your shrug emoji, if that's your opinion, sure. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying Invincible.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're enjoying Invincible as well. I think it's just fun that it's the week that the episode of Daredevil this week, I think, is the highest rated Marvel episode in 8 years or something, they said. The ratings just came out for it. But look, everybody has their opinion on shows, right? So we will see how Joe felt about that over on our Daredevil podcast, because I think Joe did send in some feedback for the episode, which we'll discuss on the next episode of Daredevil. Thanks, Joe, for your thoughts on this one.
And finally, we have a bit of feedback in from the one and only Richard Blaze. What an episode! I love the bonding between Oliver and Nolan. Still don't trust them. Though their culinary skills, I think I'll pass on. Nice to see Mark making a return and sporting a beard any teenager would be proud of. Question. Are the Viltrumites weaker this time around? They seem a little bit too easily dispatched off at times. But at least we got to see the greatest Transformer ever, Optimus Prime, showing his worth.
Mm-hmm.
To your question, Rich, no, they're not. It's just we know Nolan and Mark and Oliver and Alan have gotten stronger. Like, so that what we have learned through the years is that essentially Mark is like a muscle. The more he trains his strength and his speed and stuff, the faster and stronger he gets. Mm-hmm. So the more he has been beaten the hell out of, and he comes back stronger. His bones come back and break and then come kind of reform stronger, etc.
God, he must be the strongest now after his entire intestines have reformed.
Well, he just means he can eat anything now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe he can eat 2 of those eggs. I suppose the other thing is this is a strategic decision from Thragg, right, to call everybody back. It looks like the Viltrumites were actually going to continue the battle, the ones that were in fights, until Thragg called them to go, and the minute he called them to go, everybody leaves the planet, right? So, they are, while their numbers are low, what they say strategically is the coalition are going after Viltrumites on their own, and they're using weapons to kill Viltrumites specifically given to them by Nolan, when himself and Alan went around the galaxy picking them up. So their strategy is to take off the ones out on the edges. The Viltrumites are fighting a massive battle against people that are well equipped to fight against them. And strategically, they've decided to leave and decided to go back to Viltrum. But I don't think they're less powerful. I think it's just they're going to walk away from the fight to gather up and win the war. Or at least that's what they think.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. But I'm very much looking forward to it, Chris.
Good. That is the main thing. With all that said and done then, shall we end our episode and our discussion of episode 6. You look horrible. Because this week has been content heavy and crazy. So if you haven't, make sure you pop on over to our Daredevil Born Again feed and check out the latest episode there. And then, why not? Because you may be listening to it here. The final season of The Boys. Mm-hmm. We are dropping our episodes and our coverage this week, so make sure you tune in and listen. But you can do all that by also heading on over to tvpodcastindustries.com. Yes, and we will be back with episode 7. Don't do anything rash.
Ooh, I believe we're almost at the penultimate episode, Chris.
Yeah, I know. It's gone too fast.
It's been a great series. But I guess, when they drop a few episodes on the same day, it always feels like it goes really, really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah. If it was any more, we'd be wanting shorter. If it was any less, we'd be wanting more. So it's just right. Mwah.
Love it.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you're not sick of my voice, as I keep saying on all of the podcasts that we're doing, because I'm doing a lot at the moment. And I hope you'll be back with us for the next episode of Invincible. Until then, speak to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you again next week. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep being invincible.
Bye.
Bye.